Dear Dairy. So, as some of you may have already discovered, I have only just recently uploaded the kind of special edition StarCast podcast that we did tonight. Robert Space Industries and Cloud Imperium Gaming, the guys who are making Star Citizen, did a special live stream event this evening because they're doing CitizenCon in Austin right now, and they're supposed to be, they were live streaming this thing this evening. Angry Joe was there, and actually I told him I was going to invoke his name in the podcast, and I forgot to. I did my bitching and my ranting about it, but I forgot to mention him. Because honestly, looking at the way that the live stream, I use the term loosely, happened, I felt a bit like he did with his review of Rome 2, because this was not what I was promised at all. To be fair, and to try to keep the equation as balanced as possible, I fully recognize, and I will state with no hesitation, that RSI and CIG, they definitely had their content together. They had it, ready to go. They had all their presentations set up, and from what I could tell, all of it was very, very well received. My problem with not the whole thing, but my problem with the event is the fact that there was a tremendous amount of hype centered around this particular live stream. That there was a lot of push to get people in this live stream, not just in the US, but from Europe, and on the other side of the freaking planet. People staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning, on a work night to go to this event. A lot of hype in this, and to have this stream on YouTube freeze every 5 seconds, and that is no exaggeration, freeze every 5 seconds for at least 5 seconds, and then kick off again, so that it got to the point where it took almost 2 hours to watch a 40-minute stream. That is absolutely unacceptable. I don't know who did or didn't do what to make that happen, but that is just all kinds of wrong, and that cannot happen again. For a company that is relying so heavily on crowdfunding to get this game out, you cannot have that level of failure. You have to have at least one backup. Why? Was no one monitoring the tweets? Was no one monitoring the chat? No. Okay. Here's my second allowance. Anybody trying to monitor the chat channel on YouTube while that live stream is going on, that was inhuman. There is no way any human being, I don't care how, savant you are, there's no way you could have tracked that stuff. It was going so fast, I couldn't get through the first word of each, sentence before it was off the screen. However, there was a Twitch channel, and there was a chat going on there. Even though it wasn't being streamed to Twitch, the chat was still there, and people were using that chat channel to talk about the stream on YouTube. Why weren't there people watching? And if they were, why were they not reporting back? Wow, the people are, everybody who's not here is saying that this stream is cutting out every 5 seconds, and it's unwatchable in its state. Why wasn't something done? Why wasn't there a backup plan? Why wasn't, one of the things that we mentioned on the podcast is the fact that Austin is one of the few places in the country right now that's supposed to have Google Fiber available. They've known this event was coming. They've known how much hype they were putting into it. Since RSI and CIG are listed on their page as YouTube partners, and YouTube is, if I remember correctly, pretty tightly interlinked with Google, if not owned by, there is no reason whatsoever that Google Fiber was not fed to that venue a week before this thing happened. There is no excuse for this not having been tested and checked, double checked, triple checked. It makes the company look bad to put this much hype and to say, hey, everybody, we're having this awesome, huge event. Come into the live stream and watch it live. And then have this happen. It makes it look like they either don't care, which I cannot believe, or they are so focused on the content and the game that they're not paying attention to the delivery methods, the delivery channels, conduits, what have you, by which that information and that content is given to us. That's far more likely, I think, but for a company that has just passed its $21 million mark, and yes, I recognize that $21 million is not exclusively for making sure that, but part of it is. Part of it has to be. Part of that, if you're going to make the game work, it's not just about developing the game. Part of the development cycle is marketing, is advertising, is verifying that you're getting the teaser elements of this content out, because if you make this huge game, but you don't communicate any of it to your user base, they've got nothing to get hyped about. And if you hype it and you don't pay attention to the feedback that's coming back from them in real time on a live event. Okay, that's 7 minutes of complaining about this stuff, so let's move on, shall we? What we did see and hear from the event looked amazing. We will probably watch the VOD once it goes up, and watching it in one contiguous thing with no cuts out, breakups, interruptions, and whatnot. We will probably be able to compile a more clear-cut image of what was being offered or what is being offered, and we'll talk about that on probably Tuesday, I believe, is when we're doing the next Starcast. So that's when we'll be going over that. I think. Pretty sure it's Tuesday. So what else is there? I don't remember. Looking at my notes. Well, I'll cover this one part first. It was 24 years ago today that I joined the Army. It was October 10th. Yes, exactly. October 10th, 1989. Went to basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And went to medical training at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. And then, unfortunately, was sent to my permanent assignment in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, which was awful. And that is not said with any level of sarcasm. It was horrible. And if you want to know why, that's fine. We can do another story time with Uncle Tren at another episode. It was terrible. I had the most backwards military career probably of anybody. Basic training was amazing. It was a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed it. AIT was all right. I was learning a lot about medicine. It was very, very cool. Got to permanent party in Hawaii, and it sucked. It was fucking terrible. Sorry. Oh my God. Suffice to say, it was terrible. Yes. Ooh. Exactly. So there's that. And I don't know where this note came from. I was looking at something. I think it's the fact that like I said recently, I finished watching Continuum, and there's a lot of people in Continuum who were also in Caprica, which was the prequel for Battlestar Galactica. There's a lot of people in that were also in Stargate SG-1. Now, granted, I think they were all made in the Vancouver area, so they're going to tend to share a lot of the same actors and whatnot. But it got me thinking way back when, back in the mid to late 80s and stuff, when Star Trek: The Next Generation first aired. And there was a point where if you were a Hollywood star and you got on The Next Generation, you were set. That meant you had kind of made it, because Next Gen had so much, oomph behind it. that, I mean, this was the big, big thing. It was huge. And to get on Next Gen, I mean, you were set for a couple of years. If you had David Ogden Stiers was on there, just a brilliant character named Temison, who was a scientist that Majel Barrett's character, Loxana Troy, was just madly in love with. And they had this thing called the Resolution, where his species was basically required to off themselves at 60. Wonderful, wonderful episode. Really, really good. And I hadn't really seen or heard of him in anything since MASH before that, which was, MASH. I mean, aside from the fact that, I was a medic in the Army, I mean, MASH, oh my God. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Anyway, so that was another thing that came to mind, and I don't remember why. It was something yesterday that brought it to mind that if you got on to Next Generation, you were set. You had, lots of work coming your way in the coming years, and it's just kind of the way it was. All right, so 11 and a half minutes. And I have nothing else on the notes. I was counting on hopefully being able to talk about the live stream. I mean, I could talk some more about it, but I won't, because all I wind up doing is bitch about it. And I've made my point. So there's no sense in harping on about it. As it turns out, I will not be dog sitting this weekend, so you can probably look forward to more content from me. As two of my housemates are supposed to be gone this weekend, there's a very good chance that I will have more quiet, more silence, less noise, something, more opportunity. We'll call it opportunity to record audio unimpeded. I am losing the ability to speak. It's because of the beer that I had during the thing. It was a Russian Imperial Stout. Oh my God, it was so good. It was called the Blackhorn Unidragon by Clown Shoes. Look that up. Oh my God, is that a good beer? If you're not much for stouts, you may not like it. But if you are a fan of stout, like really nice Guinness, this is better than Guinness. And I like Guinness quite a bit, but this is better than Guinness. And I may mean that it's better than proper Guinness from someplace that knows how to serve it correctly. Oh, it was really, really good. Just go back. Right before this is the go watch the podcast from tonight, from the one that I just uploaded before this. And you'll see where I crack open the beer and I pour the stout. And I'm kind of smelling it. I'm like, oh, wow. And then I take a taste. You see my facial expression. That is no joke. That is no joke. That is exactly the way I felt about that beer. Just go and check that out. All right. So, closing in on 14 minutes because I went on whittering on about beer, which, if you're going to whitter on about something, beer is a good one to do. Tea. And, as I'm sure you noted at the beginning of this podcast, I have my dinner. Oh, with a little hot pad trivet oven mitt thing stuck to it. I think there was some styrofoam on the burner, and now it's stuck to the bottom of the pot. Anyway, I will let you guys go, and I will talk to you. What is today? Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Yes, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. And until then, be careless.